Could you make the hits? I'm not sure I could, and I shoot for a living. Welcome back to OG's Danger Show. Welcome back, original gangsters. Officer Greg here with you today on a blistering hot Central California day. I just got off work and I'm a little hot and sweaty and a little jittery myself. So I thought that would make today's video even more interesting. Listen, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos lately on what we call the Dicken Drill. Not Dickens, just one Dicken, named after Elijah Dicken out of Greenwood, Indiana, a suburb just outside of Indianapolis. You all might remember that on July 17th of 2022, Elijah Dicken and his girlfriend were at the food court of the Greenwood Park Mall when yet another active shooter, an angry, violent coward, walked into the mall, went into the men's room, spent an hour in there setting up and getting up the courage. He threw his phone down in a urinal and he finally emerged from the restroom with a rifle. He ended up killing the first man he saw at the end of the hallway to the restrooms, and then he immediately walked up to a table and killed an elderly Hispanic couple before starting to engage everyone else. Well, a young man, 22 years old, that's right, 22 years old, from my point of view, still a kid. This young man was legally carrying a Glock 19 that day. He was at the food court with his girlfriend, a nursing student, and they were enjoying whatever fine cuisine you find at food courts these days. Elijah Dicken immediately stood up when this shooter started doing his cowardly work there in the food court. Elijah stood up and began engaging that shooter, that cowardly little soy boy, from 40 yards away. 40 yards away. Now think about that. It's quite a distance away. Elijah stood up, he braced himself, and with his Glock 19, he began engaging this guy. There were 10 shots fired. Elijah hit this guy with 8 of those 10 shots. Now that's pretty amazing. We don't know. We can assume that he was closing the distance at the time, that 40 yards got closer and closer. But the first hits were made from 40 yards away on this guy. It immediately ended the attack, and whether or not he was even able to kill the guy at first was not the question. The minute you start delivering shots on a bad guy like that, his attention is now focused on you instead of innocent bystanders enjoying their fine, semi-edible cuisine at the food court. So that was the point of my active shooter video that I put out a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't seen it yet, I'll put a link right here. That active shooter video, we talked about law enforcement active shooter training, and one of the things we are trained to do is immediately get inside to that school, church, business, whatever it happens to be, and somehow distract that shooter. Engage that shooter somehow, even if you're not able to kill him right away. The minute his attention is focused on you, he's no longer shooting innocent people. I'd much rather have those rounds coming my direction than being shot at innocent people who are not armed and not trained. Now, the police chief has hailed Elijah Dicken as a hero. They called him a good Samaritan, and you probably saw the liberal news media melt down over the fact that they called him a good Samaritan and they gave him basically a clean pass on this shooting. The liberal media can't stand it when you guys handle your own shit. And kind of the motto of OG's Danger Show is, no one's coming, it's up to you. Elijah Dicken probably never seen OG's Danger Show, but he knew that day there was nobody else to rely on but him. Unlike some of the recent active shooter response personnel, law enforcement personnel that we've recently talked about, Elijah did not wait for permission. He did not wait for a phone call from the chief. He did not wait for a better time to get up and engage this guy. He immediately stood up. He immediately began ushering people behind him, directing people to get away, get out the doors, while he moved forward and engaged the shooter. That is a fucking hero, my friend, and I want to salute that young man. Now, a lot of people make a lot of crap about the fact that the mall had a placard hanging there that said, "No guns allowed." Well, as I teach my CCW students, that's on you. That's a mall rule, not a law in Indiana or California. So you decide whether or not you're going to abide by that law. But thank God that day, and a lot of families right now are thanking Elijah Dicken for disobeying that rule and bringing his firearm into that food court that day. he saved a lot of lives with that shooting. One aspect I think that is hilarious is to watch the liberal media melt down over the fact that Elijah Dicken walked into the mall food court where guns were prohibited. Can you believe it? They pulled out their hair, they screeched, they wet their little panties, but none of them focus on the fact that the shooter, the criminal, the little soy boy coward who walked in there with a rifle also broke that same rule. And had Elijah Dicken not got up from his seat in the food court with his Glock 19, who knows how many other people might have been injured or killed that day. So I am glad that young man broke the rules of the mall. He did not break the law. And so far the law enforcement out there in Indiana has found him 100% cleared of that shooting, and as they should. So because we don't know how Eli Dicken was carrying his Glock 19 that day and what configuration that pistol was in, I have a couple different options here today. First, I have for you a Glock 19X. Now I realize the grip on this pistol is a little bit bigger than a standard Glock 19. However, for all intents and purposes, it is a Glock 19. It just so happens to have a Holosun 507C red dot affixed to the top. Maybe Eli Dicken was using a red dot equipped pistol that day. We don't know yet. But I'm going to fire that pistol from concealed in the appendix method. So I also have brought with me today a Glock 19 that years and years ago I had reworked by Robar in Arizona back when they were in business. Robar gave this pistol an NP3 coated slide. Really, it's just to make it shiny and fancy. Does nothing to change the pistol. They also reduced the grip on this pistol and did a little stippling work here. But other than that, the pistol is pretty much a stock out-of-the-box Glock 19 with factory Glock sights on it. So there is no handicap of using a red dot sight. So I'm going to give this drill a try with the red dot, see if that little bit of extra aid helps my old eyes. And I'm also going to try this drill with standard open iron sights. I've got Maximilian Bojangles here to help me, the rubber dummy. I'm going to set Max out here at 40 yards away. I've got a laser rangefinder here so we can get an exact measurement. And in that 15 seconds on my PAX timer, I need to be able to get at least 8 out of 10, but hopefully 10 out of 10 shots on that rubber dummy at 40 yards. Now I am fully aware that I'm not as stressed out as Eli Dicken was that day with a shooter walking through the food court. I'm out here on a hot day, but I am comfortable and safe and in no way as stressed out. So there's no way to really replicate that stress that he was feeling that day. So I'm going to go ahead and film myself for what it's worth. 10 rounds on a human-sized target at 40 yards away in 15 seconds or less. Let's take a look and see how it goes. Hey, while I got you here for a second, let me take this opportunity to give a quick shout out to my Patreon donors. If you're not already a donor on Patreon and you'd like to join us over there, I put a link down here in the description. Very easy to go over there, hit that link if you'd like to donate $1, $2, $3, hell, $50 a month if you want. So we're going to try the drill first with the Glock 19X fired from the Tier 1 concealed inside the waistband holster with a red dot sight. And then we're going to follow up from the hip. I have a standard old kydex holster from Vedder Holsters mounted here on my hip at 3 o'clock. And that is going to be holding the Glock 19 with open iron sights here. So let's give it a try both directions and see what we can do. Maximilian Bojangles is ready for me. All right, let's head down range and take a look. Timer's still going off. I'm going to try and show you these on this camera. I've walked this 40 yards like 4 times now and it's friggin' hot out here. Okay, so we're coming up here to max. It looks like to me we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, barely in there, 8, 9, 10. It looks like we hit 10 out of 10 rounds. I think those are all good hits on him. Let's reset max, repaint the target, try it with open sights now. Don't have to worry about any headshots. Okay, let's give it a try this time with the open sights on the Glock 19, stock Glock 19 from a belt holster, 3 o'clock belt holster here. 15 seconds, I think because I have open sights, I'm gonna use the tree this time to brace like Eli did against the column in the food court. Let's give it a try. 15 seconds from concealment, 10 rounds. Pistol's empty, 10 rounds, didn't lock open. It's kind of common, I tend to ride that slide release. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 10. We actually got him in the love handle. Not sure that counts as a fight stopper, but open sights, I'll take that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I really like these 5 rounds up here especially, so. So I want to throw out this challenge to you that I want you to go out and try your own Dicken drill if you have the space and the ammo and the right firearms. Give it a try with whatever you carry. It does not have to replicate exactly what Eli was carrying that day. Just give it a try and see if you can make those shots. 40 yards, 15 seconds, 10 rounds, and hopefully you hit at least 8 rounds on target. So I'm not too ashamed with the way I hit today. But remember, we like to train with our rifles because they're a lot of fun. However, what's going to be with us every single day as we roll around the mean streets? That's right, your handgun. And I definitely believe you should know how to use your handgun, know how to reload your handgun under stress. Always carry that handgun, a spare magazine of ammunition with you. Remember, it's not for the quantity that's in your firearm. It's because magazines are the #1 reason that pistols go down. Along with that, carry with you a good folding knife, a good flashlight, and of course, a loaded cell phone. I thank you guys for stopping by. Click the like button. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe to the show and tap the notification bell so that you'll get a little ding every time I put up some new crap on the internet. Remember, these are crazy times. Stay armed where you are legally allowed to do so. OG out.